There we go.
So I think we're on. Thank you for being here, Josh. Again, we are waiting another guest as well, but hopefully he'll be right around the corner. But anyway, there are I think a few people have been waiting for us to get on. It looks like we have some viewers. So if the ones who are here can just get back to us on audio, that would be great.
I will say hello and good evening, good day to you all.
Yeah.
Microphone check.
Loud and clear, so that's all good.
Let us know if you're here with us. It's good to have you all. Thank you.
Good.
We are waiting on a guest, but the show must continue.
We
so
can
let's
just
continue
start.
to do what we with Tim.
Just gonna check if he hasn't contacted me. Hey.
So how is
klar og logget in. Okay, hold on. You can speak to the beautiful audience.
Thank you. How are you all today? Hope you are warmer than we are here in the UK. We've hit 3 degrees today. So it's just getting colder as we approach the solstice. I don't know if any of you are joining us on this coming fast, or you're possibly not fasting, but leveling up to the next level of your food experience. To experience heightened senses.
Here he comes. It's a he, not a she, but it's probably Mary's Zoom client.
Yes.
Here we are.
I'm trying to see. You sent me a restream. Is it possible for me to hook that up to my Facebook page? Or
I think that might be a bit late now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, I'm sorry. The kid all of a sudden had a shit show going on, and I had to help the wife out with some showering and some stuff, and so
it's all good. It's all good. We had some technical issues anyway, so we just logged on or came on.
Oh, good. So, it always works in our favor.
Isn't it strange? It always works out. So thank you for being here, Ulf Vegard. You know, me and Ulf had a chat a couple of months ago, probably, or time flies, you never know. It's probably half a year by now. But we spoke a bit about the different things. That was more or less just like kind of meet and greet between you and me, get to know each other a little bit. So and I don't want to say a thought. I had already then I had a wish, let's say, then that you and Josh should be able to speak a little bit, because I think you are two brilliant people, and probably not so far apart from each other, but a bit a different angle to maybe not so much different goal, let's say, if there's a goal in it all. But I would love to hear you speak a little bit more, Ulf, about you know, the twin flames and the inner child and those kind of things, and that I've noticed and know you are very much into. And probably we'll also touch a bit on the diet. I don't know. That's, you know, I know you had your journey on the plant-based only diet, and we don't have to go there, but it could be interesting, because I'm very interested, because I'm back and forth and up and down and everywhere. So, and I'm also just a guy with a lot of questions, so I can't bring much to the conversation. I will ask questions if they arise, but I'm very eager to be a fly on the wall in this conversation between you two. So I don't know where we should start. Yeah.
I very much appreciate when the conversation is kind of guided. It's very cool with questions, and I really appreciate this possibility and opportunity, and the format. I really enjoyed you guys' last live, and some topics there that are very, very current in my own life as well, especially with the teeth and
Teeth, yeah.
On the awakening journey, it seems to be something that happens to all of us, I feel, even, you know. And
Josh is special. Josh got away from that issue. But he's probably because he started early and he's had this long progress or long, I don't know, Josh can speak to that better than me, so I'm probably going to do what I know best, to be quiet.
I think you're great at pointing and bringing conversation, so keep being yourself.
Yeah.
But I would say it's more of an exploration of myself and experience in different types of food systems to that which made me feel the least resistance within my body, that felt most natural to me. From the age of about 11, it began. You know, maybe the awareness came around about 7 or 8, and I took myself off certain foods, but the exploration sort of happened from very young. If I miss a couple of things, I think my signal's a bit in and out, so let me know if you have issues hearing me, and I will try to remedy them. It's great to meet you, brother, and again, lovely to be with you, Jostein. A pleasure as usual. If anyone does have any questions they'd like to bring to light for us to discuss, then we will. So I'll let you guide the show, as this is yours, and we will just continue to open discussion.
So much for the fly on the wall. But it's okay. Ulf, could you please, because I'm still, you know, I'm not trying to look cool, everybody. These glasses are not to look cool. It's to save my eyes from the blue light from the screen. So just to mention that. But
2 for 1. They look very cool as well.
They do look very cool.
Okay, so that's 2 for 1. Good. You know, I think we all heard about, and probably many know a lot about, the twin flames situation, and also probably the inner child. Me, I just heard a lot of different kind of views upon it. Some I've heard say that the twin flame is your other half, of course, but the unrealized half, like it's you, but it's the part you're actually searching for. And some will say probably it's a different entity, another being. So please go a little bit into the twin flame, just like for.
First of all, the twin flame label is completely a misconception. There is no twin. The flame is the inner fire, the inner flame, the Kundalini fire, but there is no twin. It is a multi-dimensional experience of soul-to-soul connection by 2 graduate beings who no longer have karma. So when they speak about this karma, I have a karmic twin flame and I have karma with my twin flame, they're not twin flames at all. I'm sorry. There's something else going on there. This label was labeled by a Christian woman called Elizabeth Clare Prophet. She labeled her ongoing soul-to-soul experience from her Christian filters, from her Christian perception of reality. And so this has shaped an entire community's experience of soul-to-soul connection. So it's very hard to watch, actually, the twin flame community, and observing them and how they are living out this label, as opposed to having the revelation of what it truly is, because it's right there available to them. But they get kind of stuck within this box that has been set through the label, through the belief system. And belief shapes reality. So here they go, starting to already, shoot themselves in the foot. Their beliefs about there only being one, and then this one soul-to-soul connection does not want to be with them anymore, and then they got to figure out a way to label that, and why are they not wanting to be with me, and etc. So they throw in some karma, some other belief systems from within the firmament of human consciousness, and just stirs it in a pot like most of the New Age belief systems, and just keep adding on to their mystery. So they, most of them will never see their so-called twin flame again. I can say that right off the bat. Most of you will never see them again in the way that you think. They will never return. It's a belief system. I'm sorry. They're probably happy where they're at now, without the intensity of the triggers and the intensity of the soul-to-soul connection. Maybe they've found another twin and are experiencing the soul-to-soul connection with the same level of stuff, but they've spiritually matured since then, so they're able to navigate, communicate, negotiate, and compromise, and have a mature soul-to-soul connection. This will be the case for most. Many have even been in union for many, many years, and in comes a third twin, just to kind of shake up that whole belief system. And that's kind of when it gets interesting, because you think it's my twin flame, we're meant to be set for life, right? That's the whole belief system, the whole gig. But when a third one comes in and shakes up the union between the two, then there's something else going on. It's not a twin. Are we triplets? Are we quintuplets? So it just gets very, very interesting. Few seem to be talking about this, but more and more are discovering it. And they're kind of letting go of the label, letting go of the spiritual bondage that comes with thinking that you own somebody, or they're my twin. They don't even call them by their true name anymore. It's not Jostein and whatever your partner's name is, right? Or it's my twin. She's my twin, mine. And it becomes kind of a spiritual bondage, spiritual ownership, and very much attachment, and that's far from sustainable within twin flame connection. You have to embody a lot of these spiritual principles, like letting go of attachment, letting go of need, letting go of your current belief system about love and relationships, as it is on planet Earth, like we've been programmed by Disney and Hollywood and all that stuff. And it's just, it's toxic. Every love song that ever was written is absolutely toxic, absolutely wounded love. Every love song, every romantic movie that was ever made is emotionally and spiritually immature, written from a very wounded place, with romanticized ideas about love. And so the twin flame, or the graduate being, as I prefer to call it, is there to transcend all of these ideas of love and relationships. I just did not have any time to prepare, so I'm going to have to a little bit cold up here in the attic.
Okay.
So yeah, we're here to kind of usher in that new template, the sacred love, the sacred union, which is the freedom to be, and the freedom from attachment, the freedom from need. Like, you want to be with this person, you don't need to be with them. It's not coming from if you don't love me, I can't live without you. it's not that kind of love. And that's what we see in the twin flame community. You know, it's distorted, and lots of pain, mystery, and I would just like to set them all free, but they have Stockholm syndrome when it comes to the label, to the twin flame. They want that so much that they're not willing to flip the coin and look at the other side. Maybe there's something else there. You know, what is going on here?
A lot of these people give power to the other to bring them their source of happiness.
Yes.
And I feel like, you know, the twin flame coming from a world full of opposites, you have to realize that every concept that's given to you is not going to be the truth. It's duality. So if somebody's saying that a twin flame is external to you, the truth is it has to be internal. And when they marry the colors of blue and red, I'm assuming this is the twin flame colors. They usually pick them, one being blue and one being pinky red. Comes down to the energetic level across the plane, the torus, the red shift and the blue shift. And living in ego and identity, you're missing this blue energy. And when you surrender the ideas and concepts of the world, you usher in the energy of freedom, which is balance. So the twin flames is within. The concept of twin flames is there to distract you and make you feel like something external to you is going to bring you the solution or the answer. But the true one on the spiritual journey knows that they have to deal with the emotional conflict, the ability to sit with oneself without being overrun with thoughts, the ability to manage them, to learn the technology that we have. And if we continue to look to others for answers, to try to see the world through the eyes of others, when all we have is this, all we have is the ability to see through our own eyes or see as ourselves, I think it's just a concept that eventually, when one is able to see it, can make sense of it. Otherwise, it just leads you on another external search. It's almost like the world of conspiracy is an absolute perfection. Like you said, Disney. Now, oblivious of Disney, it just creates a autonomous being perpetuating the behavior that is seen, whether it's conscious or unconsciously. And when you awaken to the fact that it's programming you in a certain way, you can have the emotional conflict of anger, the desire and will to change this, to change others who perceive it. But this is all a war going on within. And I feel the word aware, as A is alpha and E is the etherical blue shift. So A and E are red and blue, and it's A war E. And this is the war going on with us. When we sit down and see that everything is perfect, we don't have conflict, because it was the very Disney that awoken us to the idea that there's something more than what we're being told. So if we can continue to move away from concepts, but allow the concepts to have awakened us on the holistic spectrum of consciousness to be absolutely perfect, we can continue the journey, which will eventually lead us to the destruction of all of the ideas that we hold within inside our temple. But it must be built. And I feel that this is the nature of consciousness, why we have such duality, why we can perceive the world to be so negative, but yet everyone has the ability to perceive and see the world as they choose. And I feel like so strongly we hold on to meanings. But if we look at the word mean, mathematically, it means average. So a meaning is what the average perceive it to be, but it doesn't actually say the truth, because the truth is only within. And I feel when one seeks the truth with the application of that truth, does one render beliefs to be useless. And you live in the power of yourself. And essentially, we are all in search of happiness. We search for material things. I'll be happy when I achieve this. But it's achievement, and that's all in the mind. A millionaire who makes £1,000 in 1 year would be very disappointed. Somebody who has nothing would be very excited with the idea. So the consciousness is here and how we perceive the world. So it's up to us to shape it. And I feel like this grand journey that we're all on together, we can all share a piece of our experience, communicate, collaborate, and open hearts of many into themselves. No one needs to suffer. Even pain is separate from suffering. It's down to you and me on our individual journeys. Individuality is individuality. We can move beyond this dream. So all we need to do is find peace. To me, that's the twin flame.
It begins within, but then it will express itself in the external as well, because the twin flame or the graduate being are the living blueprint of alchemy. So it will happen within through the hero's gamos, and then it will express itself in the without, as within, so without. It's a template. It's kind of like a knitting pattern, which is meant to replace the old knitting pattern, the old template of love and relationships. And because relationships on planet Earth, it's not working anymore. Not in work relations, not throughout society, not with partnerships. And so the clarion call kind of came when humanity blew off the atom bomb. Then Source kind of sent out a signal for beings with lots of spiritual innate wisdom in their blueprints to incarnate on this planet. And they came in 3 waves. Dolores Cannon talked a lot about that. What she was referring to was the graduate beings. And so the first ones came after the atom bomb. The first wave, the second wave came around the 1960s, 1970s. The third wave came in the 1990s and around the millennium. And then there'll be no more of the so-called twin flames coming in. There's no need for it. The template has already been set. And the mission is almost already complete. And so humanity will experience the sacred union template of love and relationships rather than the romantic one.
This is with all. Yeah, the loving relationship with what is, rather than a being, or it's just absolutely everything that exists. There's a innate love towards all things.
It's a mystical union, of course, that has to happen within first. Usually it's a marriage, as you said, between the red and the blue, the red being fire and then the blue being ice. one could say, between the opposite elements, air and earth, fire and water, and inside of us, it's the marriage between the mind and the heart, which is the longest journey we will ever take, but it's simply from here to here, but it's still the hardest, most difficult task that a human will undergo. And then the dark night of the soul usually ensues. A Kundalini awakening is most always involved either before or upon meeting the external twin, so to speak, a frequency match, a soul frequency match. And then the soul frequencies resonating on such a level that activates the dormant Kundalini energy. They work much like cities or in like a Shakti pot, like a graduate being or a twin flame can activate the Kundalini in people in their community, for example, if they're close to, if their pathways are open, then they will activate Kundalini in other people. That's what makes twin flames or graduate beings phenomenal healers. If you do resonate as such a being, then you'll probably feel called to do energy work, to be of service of some kind. The innate, the pull to be of service is very, very strong in these beings. So you'll find them in alternative health. You'll find them in hospitals working like nurses, and find them in all walks of society. Many of them don't even know that they are this type of being. Maybe they will have some kind of awakening eventually where they'll be led to others or to the spiritual community, onto the spiritual path. Yeah, they'll
initially their experience that they've been brought into, their identification is with the empathetic side, with the caring side. So they've been brought into a absolutely perfect family, which is, we can go into it maybe a little bit later on, how incarnation happens. Of course, it's perfect for the experiencer to then come into being. But then they, as you said, they don't know that they're here to do this. Sometimes people can move towards spirituality, find a little bit of spiritual arrogance, and have the idea that they have to go out there and heal people because they need to. Again, this is hyper activity within inside the intelligence. And then that's another journey that usually people walk through. So they go through the motions of having to believe that they need to do a certain thing for the world, because they believe that the world is external and they are a part of the world, or they are in the world, when the world is actually within them. And I feel that there's a lot of misguided, such as the twin flame information, that does lead people externally, when, as you said yourself, it's one of the hardest things one can do to truly become free, but they are actually already free. All the concepts and ideas that they've built up, the attachments, is what's actually separating them. So there's this double-edged sword of it being the most easiest thing in the world to do because you're already it. But letting go of the ideas that you've picked up along the way is what causes the separation. Believing the world is external when it's actually internal, believing that you have to do something, something is separate from you. And I'd like to give the two contemplations of, one is which came first, the chicken or the egg. Now, when one truly sits with this in science, you come to the recognition that it's an impossibility that either came first. And then you recollect a dream that's very vivid to yourself if you haven't had the ability to be able to involve yourself with your dreams. And remember, there was a body. Remember, there were others. There was communication. There was experience. There was identification with the body in the dream. But the others in the dream were not separate from you. But the one who was lost within inside the body believed the others were actually separate. But that is also an impossibility. This whole conceptual world is one big dream within inside consciousness. And the idea of others is so consciousness can reflect back at itself, to be able to view within inside the greatness. And this is why mysteries and religions and all of these ancient cultures or spirituality movements comes down to that one point, is nothing is separate from you. So if you can grab this intellectually and then allow it to do what it can do to take you to the point that there is no more to acquire intellectually, this would be having to let go of every concept that you hold. Give your full attention to the present moment and experience everything in totality and perfection. And as you stated earlier, when the resonance changes within inside the idea of the body, there is an idea of a field, and within the field, you pull in the experience. So the most important thing we can do to change our very experience is to change ourselves and allow the nature of consciousness to take care of everything else. We see what we want to see, but we have no idea how to choose this until we really let go of this conceptual based reality. We apply every belief that we have. It then becomes a knowing and a truth. And through that knowing and truth, you let go of all concepts because you now know. And consistently applying these truths on a seeking journey, it will just lead you to a space of freedom, a great knowing, not looking for others for answers, because an answer from someone else is still a belief. This is why belief is B, lie, F. F is 6. It represents matter. So it's a material lie. When you know you have K, which is 11, which is the twin pillars, which is your temple, and now. So you balance your temples to now, you know, because this is all there is. And to sit here without a desire is contentment, or to be content. So the great work is working your way through the virtue system as an aid to recognize that which is causing separation and suffering, such as greed, envy, lust. For example, another thing or concept like the twin flame is abstinence or chastity. And the spiritual movement or spiritual community have brought the idea that this abstinence means to abstain from sex. But it means abstinence of all things. Because the mind can jump on anything. And if we live through the eyes of a mind, such as what the Bible says, God can never see through the eyes of a person. Now, the person is the persona, which is the mask wearer, which is the one who identifies itself to be the body-mind. But if one is not a person, God shall dwell in you forever. So you let go of the person, no longer identifying with it, None of these concepts. And freedom is here. There's so much mysticism and fog that is laid out perfectly, because one gets to go through the true journey of Solomon. Solo mon. Mon is mono, which is one. Solo one is the solo one. It's you. It's me. It's us as individuals. And essentially, we're here to reach atonement. And atonement is at one ment, which is at one mind. Is in no sense. Is in no sense. It's the Immaculate Conception. It is having a clean, clear temple from concepts. Immaculate is to be clean and concepts. Jesus was a man, but Christ came from Immaculate Conception. Only when Jesus as a man let go of his ideas did he become Christ. This is the journey of each and every one of us. To not allow the mind to interpret life for us. To look without a relay of reality consistently going on inside of you. And I feel like number one is align yourself with a food system that works for you. Number two, the food system should be at least a whole food, which allows you to get rid of the pain body. And it gives you enough freedom to be able to see the mind and what it's doing. Because most people don't even see that the mind is consistently talking. They even have conversations with themselves as they walk down the road. And then to be able to take the things which cause conflict within inside of you, sit with them, contemplate on them, accept them, surrender the ideas, and focus your attention from the mind into the present moment. And if you sit there, you will live life fulfilled and happy. There are also many dimensions that you can master within inside this experience. But I feel like these are the most important ones to do before you do it. Because at least you can experience all of these heightened senses and greater perceptions with peace.
Are you still friends? You're not disagreeing? Because I have to be honest, I can't grasp everything the way you know, it's not just connecting. But are you disagreeing or are you agreeing?
I don't share those beliefs, no, but I have no need to express or counter or discuss either. It's
No.
I'm moved beyond the belief systems pertaining to religion, for one. Don't get me wrong, the Bible is a beautiful text of alchemy. But I've come to experience walking past the firmament and looking back and seeing, much as Josh, with the way the words are built, right? And especially the English language works like that very, very well.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention, sorry to interrupt, but because Josh has this, you know, he breaks down the words and letters means different things. And I don't know if you heard before, but if one who doesn't know can be kind of what the hell is he talking about?
No, I was there in 2012, 2013, experiencing a lot of the same things, the same downloads in sense of, and my Facebook feed from back then will prove it. I would put at atonement, for example, I would put a big O at the 1 in atonement, for example, and a big M, a capital M at the ment to kind of break the words apart. And so I've also experienced that part. But walking past the firmament was an experience of seeing how all the human words and languages are simply that. They're planetary consciousness. And the same with the religions and the mystical traditions, all of that. And I've been inside all of them and kind of broke through. And what I found was that nothing that has ever been, discovered within the firmament or labeled, defined, truly matters. In the big scheme of things, it's all belief systems. It's all basically bullshit, BS. And so now I'm not following any gurus or teachers. I'm not. I get my information from my higher self, which I can sense that Josh is as well. And that's kind of the place where we will arrive, if there is an arrival point on this journey. But there seems to be a place, a bus stop along the way where we kind of get off and we realize, that I have to be my own guru. I have to be my own teacher. I have to be my own guide. I cannot, as he said, look to external means of spiritual guidance, because then you will be led. You will be under some kind of belief system, under some kind of guruship. And most of what
one guru is the self.
Yeah. And the higher self, the soul stream of
not
consciousness.
The personal self. No, not the person, but the self, the true underlying substratum of experience is the self, which is the guru.
Yeah.
The unnameable.
That's also a little bit where we also differ a little bit again with the source. And I know that you're a believer of the oneness, the one source, and that we're all kind of part of the same one mind.
If I was to try to explain source from some other space other than myself, it wouldn't be true.
Yeah.
So the source of me being the dreamer experiencing within inside myself, that which sees the dream, the awareness of that which is being expressed, is the source for my experience.
Yes. And you're always at the source of your creation.
Because I'm here.
Yeah.
I will always be here. And any ideas of a source, such as magnetism or toroidal energy, which creates the field within physicality, is not source, because even physicality was dreamt by the great consciousness. It's an idea held within the great mind.
Yeah. I've just come to experience on my path many great minds, many points of origin, many sources within the multidimensional realm or realms, which is why the information sometimes is different too, depending on which source intelligence it is that is speaking. So from my source of creation, I'll have one transmission and then you might have another transmission. That's how I also come to accept that there is no truth either. There is no one absolute truth. And truth also evolves as I evolve. And so many times what I've known to be true has been true for my beliefs. And so as I let go of that belief system, all of a sudden there's a new truth available to me. And then, and then I see someone else producing their reality from their truth. And who am I kind of to tell them that it's not true? But when they claim that it is an absolute truth, I kind of have to step in and say that I've experienced many absolute truths, depending on which source intelligence it is that is being channeled sometimes. And maybe through all the multidimensional layers and multiple sources throughout the multiverse, there is some kind of mind, but it would be multiple personality disorder type of great mind, because there are so many available to me to experience. But maybe that's because I've experienced that through my filters again, and who knows. So I'm always ready to kind of let go of my current understanding from where I'm at and be, is there another truth? If so, I'll be available to that truth and willing to let go of my current understanding and perception of my experience. That seems to set me free to be able to grow and evolve. That's where I see these people that are stuck within these belief systems, having a Stockholm syndrome, unwilling to let go, like holding on for dear life. They're still experiencing that same loop. And
there's a great evolution that can take place within inside oneself. You look back at the people that you went to school with and see that they have never changed. And you found a path that was forever changing, but yet the one which was experiencing the change was never changing. So I ask you to try to bring back some memories of your past and look back a year and 5 years and remember when you were a little boy riding a bike. All of these have changed, but there was one thing that never changed. And that was the one which sees and is aware of all of that. And for me, that's the only truth that is absolute, is that you were there. There was an awareness that's seen. This is the eye, the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry and movies and films and musical stars. They don't know what it means, but it's still put there. Something is watching you. I think the movie from the 80s where they put on the sunglasses, do you remember that one? And then they started to see the world, and it used to say consume, obey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They live.
That's the one. That's the one. I let go of the idea that I was holding on to express that, so I forgot on the subject. I don't remember what we were recording there, but let's move along from that idea. But they live was something that many people believed strongly in. But those ideas that are within that film are, all concepts. If anybody can remember what I was speaking about to point me back onto the line, I will jump back on it. But there was a purpose to that conversation.
It will come back to you.
Sorry, guys.
No problem. Just to kind of maybe round up the soulmate or the twin flame things, because there's a couple of questions we maybe just address. Organic Intelligence is asking, what about soulmates? And it's a valid question in this situation. Also, I've heard people say you can have many soulmates, but there's only one twin flame. Again, that's also just, concepts.
Yeah,
but what about soulmates?
I would say that it's just a lovely concept that helps people express their love for one another in a physical form. You're my soulmate. At the end of the day, truly defining a soul would be one who is just that. is very aware of the self. And if the other was aware of the self, you're both souls and you're mating. Now, the word mate is M, which is 13, which is the absolute balance, the center. And the 8 is what reciprocates. It's the fully reciprocating field. It's like we are innate, aren't we? So everything within physicality expresses a reciprocation. So you're balancing the reciprocation with another soul, you could say. Apart from that, I think these are all just lovely concepts that keep people happy from their person.
Labels and definitions from within the firmament. That's...
Yeah.
So just a really good match. If you find your
I think the
soulmate.
perfect matches are the ones which create friction initially, you know. You become very comfortable with someone. And then you have initially an idea to shape your partner into the way that you wish to see them. And when they don't fit the status quo of the idea that you hold, you start to become, because you're very comfortable, you're very expressive, and sometimes anger comes across, and you have an expectation of your partner. I told you to put your socks in the washing bin. Now you're bringing memory from the past. You can identify with that, create conflict. But being able to communicate together, expressing yourself honestly, and working through these bits to see with each other that, wow, I felt identified. I had emotion come up. I had an idea that made me feel like this should be different. Accepting these ideas and realizing that everything that you had, or which caused you conflict, caused the emotions to exacerbate, was just an idea, a desire to change someone's will or the will of another. And I think when we come to the acceptance that we cannot change will of another, can we then let go of these ideas of that change and then truly do the great work? And for me, the twin flame idea of a person would be such as that, you know, in personality aspect, a twin flame could really help you elevate yourself beyond your emotions and reactivity. And also the soulmate would be something very similar. But the definition, I would say, was two self-realized beings existing in harmony together.
But first they will go through a hell of a storm.
They will go through hell with lots of storms. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Soulmates are, to me, are more like, you know, could be your friend, could be your mom, could be your dad, your kid, could be us sitting here, you know, soul family. Whereas someone you would label twin flame would be someone you're in a process with. a process of alchemy and change that will change you and shape you. Whereas soulmate is more harmonious type of connection where you play and hardly ever argue or fight, and if you do, you're quick to apologize and all, you know, and smooth things out. Whereas
That doesn't make good verbiage sense.
Whereas these twin flame connections, you'll be forced to go through dark night of the soul and go through hell to get to heaven type of deal.
Realize that hell was just an idea that you had identified with, that something shouldn't be or should be a certain way.
Yeah.
It's incredible. The psychological drama that we go through as humans.
I was married to
the programs from within the bloodline, you know, they always come up, and if there's been abuse, sexual abuse, narcissism, avoidant patterns within a parent, anxious attached mothers, these types of things, then they will surface within the connection in order to be healed and transmuted. And then eventually they will let go of these patterns and programs and become pure in the sense that they're in their divine blueprint as they were intended upon incarnating onto this planet. Whereas the patterns and programs are what they took on in childhood and through TV culture and all this other firmament stuff, religion, and belief systems.
Just a world full of concepts.
I was married to a woman once for 8 years, and that was hell. But I never, I never actually thought about that anything, and we never came to heaven. So, but of course,
probably not a twin flame then.
Huh?
Probably not a twin flame then. No.
No, definitely not. But I'm sure there were some lessons in it. There was something in it. There was a meaning to it.
Yes.
But it was, of course.
You just missed the meaning during the process of your experience there, so it was a lot of suffering.
Yeah, we were talking about a lot of suffering. That's for sure. And you just you mentioned before, Josh, that you want to change the other one, right?
Yeah.
And that's of course a two-way thing, and
that's not love at all.
Huh?
That's not love at all.
No. And but it was strange. It was strange because we actually came to a point where this is not working. This is not good for any of us. And then of course she was pregnant. And then it was like, okay, let's see if we cannot make it work. And then it became a question of like, okay. For me, I don't know what she was thinking, and I don't want to know, but for me, it was more or less like, okay, this would probably be better as soon as X, Y said, right? And you keep on keeping on, and yeah, no, I had to let her go eventually. But again, it was meant to be, I'm sure. And I probably learned a lot. I probably had it too easy before that point in my life, in relationship wise, so I needed to see the other side.
It takes two to really create that conflict, whether it's with inside yourself or external. So at any given time, you can surrender the ideas that are happening, and then it wouldn't cause an effect to you, but usually would stimulate the other, and then the other would find it very difficult to be with you because you don't actually react to what they're being like. And that would naturally cause the energetic separation between you both anyway. So, everything and all alignments are absolutely perfect because they wouldn't have come into your fruition. And this led you to a place now where I know for a fact with inside physicality is that you are much, much happier. And you found a place where you can sit there without having the need to do something to make yourself smile or be happy.
Became something good out of it.
The flame type of connections is that it only takes one of you to kind of get your shit together, and then it evolves. Within these soulmate connections, it's usually always just an endless amount of immaturity and things. But within these graduate being soul-to-soul connections, there's usually one of them kind of swallows their pride and ego and realizes, if we're going to do this thing, one of us is going to have to bite the sour apple.
Do you think that a lot of the times we can have an idea of a certain concept that we have with inside spirituality, like marriage, for example, we have to swear by being with someone forever, even if the experience isn't enjoyed, and maybe one being in that relationship has had an evolution at a rapid rate. And it just doesn't work anymore. Now, to create suffering with inside yourself isn't necessary, but maybe holding a concept that you have to be there is actually something which is another concept that's stopping you from your freedom. That's why we shouldn't judge any situation at all, but be present. And it's a great journey that takes a lot of dedication and application. And most people during their experience will rarely find it, especially through an incarnation such as where we're at now. They need many. many experiences to see these things. And I think, as you stated earlier, where you were saying that the lady was expressing like 1960s or the 90s, consciousness itself doesn't have to go through the experiences of certain levels of suffering, let's say physical suffering. Predominantly, we seen through our history, which is still a concept, but an idea, that there were many, many predators. Okay. And these predators had to consume other life forms because that was the nature of consciousness itself. You know, now we look at the world, we see these predators for the last 50, 60 years, they're becoming near extinct. You know, they're being looked after in sanctuaries, lions, tigers. And naturally, as consciousness is shifting and evolving through the experiences of physical suffering, we've come to a space where we tend to really suffer only mentally. And now the evolution is a choice. It is a conscious evolution. We have the ability to shape and shift ourselves to the next level, which is unifying physicality with spirit. And who's ready to do this is only one who is able to really, truly dedicate themselves to the truth, finding out at the end that there was no truth other than what is. And that recognition, the recognition is the cognitive function, is to align yourself in such a way that there's no more conflict. There's just this great experience being had. And it really helps to sweeten yourself up along the journey with, like I said, the virtues. So important for a sweet seeing until you finally go over all these concepts and just be here. You know, the human being is very different than the human doing. And again, we have a choice in each moment, from the moment or the firmament, so the mind, either your personal mind or the great mind.
Let me just quickly look. Thank you, Josh. Let me just quickly look if there's some questions regarding the topic. I see F10 has a powerful. I don't know where we were in the, or where you were in the talk when you said that, but so in essence, a man is natural looking for the divine feminine, yet a man can find his divine feminine through attaining self-actualization.
Yeah, the man as in womb man and man, female or male, it's an energy, it's alpha, it's the dominant frequency that is here in duality. And having a marriage, divine union, is a action of letting go. And then when you let go, you realize when there's nothing to hold on to, what you truly are. And in that letting go, as you stated earlier, many would experience the heightened Kundalini energy system, because this is only blocked with ideas. Suffering is an idea. On these levels with inside the energetic center, that releases energy that is so powerful, so healing, so rejoicing in bliss. I think humans are naturally blissful beings, naturally happy. And when you let go, and you'll find yourself without thought, you might be focusing on something, creating art, painting, doing something that you love to express. There's no thought there, and you just enjoy. But then an idea comes up that causes you that level of suffering there. So man, woman, in search of the divine feminine, the divine. Di is, again, perfect neutrality. Is the terminology through etymology. Di is the balance between two opposing forces, central. And then from them being in perfect balance, light is emitted, plasma. And then Di, with the language that I was observing and deciphering, D is 4, which is form, and I is 9, which is consciousness. So D and I is actually marrying form with consciousness, which again is the union as well. So divine feminine is marrying form with consciousness. So being that which you truly are, but enjoying expressing, or the expressive phenomenal reality. Because the one which absolutely had no thing wanted to experience something. Now we're here experiencing all things, but we don't know our source. When we look for more than what is, with desires.
Would you add to that, Ulf?
Yeah, all of us are in soul and in essence, multidimensionally speaking, androgynous beings, because on multiple timelines and realities, we have manifestations of avatars that hold both the feminine physicality and the masculine physicality. And so, as these energies are also within us internally, the search for the divine feminine is truly the activation of the Kundalini. It is, and for a woman, it is the activation of the inner masculine, so that they can wed and begin to rise. And the internal heroes gamos will make it so that you no longer even, you don't need a woman. You'll want a woman, sure, it's like, but the same desire or deep need, the neediness is not there anymore. None of the love songs will resonate with you anymore. It will simply just be, from a different paradigm, and you'll be much more instead of outsourcing your need for feminine energy to a woman, I remember this happened to me in 2015, and all of a sudden, I was able to channel the Divine Mother and my inner mother, and became very, very nurturing of myself and nourishing. Started, taking very good care of my skin and hair, and just having more peace, because the feminine is the darkness, the void. So I became more centered and able to utilize those feminine parts of myself. So that's kind of where I'm not agreeing with any of these polarity coaches with anything that they have to say when it comes to these very toxic ideas of creating relationships, relationship in the way that they've read David Data's Way of the Superior Man, and then they're distorting that to the opposite ends of two spectrums, where you're just you have to like the man can never receive a gift or receive service from the feminine, because then they will depolarize and their relationship will suffer. All that stuff is absolutely
that, isn't it, which actually causes it.
Huh?
It's the idea of that which causes it.
Yes. Once again, the belief system will create that reality for them. And so it's very, 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 very interesting to see. I recommend every man, get in touch with your inner feminine. I'm not saying become Harry Styles and walk around and wear dresses and all that stuff. I'm saying to sit with those feminine qualities that you would want from a partner or from a mother, and truly cradle yourself in that space where you say you become calm, right, and spacious as a result of that. And for a woman to no longer outsource the need for masculine energy to a man, but actually utilize that within herself in terms of having direction, having discipline, having a purpose, and wanting to implement and leave a mark on the world. A woman can do that perfectly beautifully, as long as when she comes home to her family unit, to her man, that she's in her feminine energy, and that she knows when she is in her masculine energy, and to utilize that and use that in a wholesome way. And then when she comes home to her family, to be the mother and to open and be receiving and nurturing and nourishing as a woman is. I think that is very wholesome. That is inner union. That is the hero's game most. It is the marriage between mind and heart within men and women. And I think that is the future of mankind, but we've kind of distorted it into this whole transgender pronoun distortion, which I'm not going to go into in the fear of stirring up some stuff within somebody, but those are all programs and belief systems as well.
I don't know if it relates, to the topic, but it's something that struck me. Lately, I've been finding, strangely enough, some kind of pleasure or something, at least something okay. I've been viewing on YouTube, and I look at the old clips and cuts from The Voice or American Talent or something like, and the auditions that are emotional,
real and not fake.
Real, yeah. You see the real emotions. You see real.
You have a really very artistic flair within inside the editor, which cuts out bits to create triggers inside emotions. That's what's triggering your emotion when you watch that. There's a very, very specific type of being who's focused their life on creating emotional content, such as someone in movies. They're very good at their craft.
Yeah, I don't know exactly but at least I cry. I cry when I see these auditions and these real feelings. And often there comes a being who maybe doesn't look like he can sing or she can sing, and then sing like a god, and the audience are all wound up, and there's lots of feelings, and I cry, and I appreciate it.
That's lovely.
Good.
That means that you're fully involved with the moment. You're able to be perceptive, receptive, and you can emote with others, which is lovely. It's better than pretending you're stern, trying to be a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Is that why you have the glasses on, just in case
in case I can start to cry?
I actually had a very, very strenuous relationship with my father, and he was an avoidant character, eccentric, indigo, starseed, for those who subscribe to those kind of belief systems. And so I never saw him growing up, and it, shaped my life in a very, very negative way. And so I was a very, very feminine boy growing up. I was very, very creative, sang, played, danced, all of that stuff. And I was always in search of the father figure, of the divine father, of some masculine guidance. And when I had my heart seed awakening in the Kundalini rising, my heart blasted open, and I forgave my father, and I spent a lot of time with him, and we would watch girl flicks together and children movies and family movies and things that would just make him bawl. And we would sit there with a 90-inch projector in my living room and just cry our eyes out to some chick flick with it was Mean Girls or some kind of stupid rom-com or whatever, and it would just, our hearts were just bursting wide open. So my heart seed awakening and these movies and our talks and everything, it triggered his heart seed awakening. And so, I think letting those floodgates run open and allowing our hearts to just feel all that massive whatever it is that we're feeling, I think that's absolutely beautiful. I cry like a child now, easy watching anything on Netflix. Even the latest Wednesday on Netflix that everybody was watching, when there's some kind of friendship there or some kind of human relation beauty, and I'm like, I look over to my partner and I can see that there's a throat chakra thing going on, but she's not allowing herself to cry in the same way that I am, and I'm like, because it's not part of our culture really to allow ourselves to feel those things so now it's starting to happen. I'm looking over and she's going like this, and I'm like, yeah. I don't even dare to joke with her, because then I know she would instantly dry up as well immediately, and so I allow her to go there with me slowly and surely, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. Cry, you stand, cry.
Yeah,
joy, isn't it?
But it is like you say, it's this is when I'm sitting here alone.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at a movie or something, then I can find myself trying to do my best to hide it. I don't know why.
Let it loose.
I will do next time. Next time I'll let it go.
I was at the Avengers with my buddy, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there crying at the freaking Avengers. Okay. Because there was some very, very touching scene, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Just
we should cry. We shouldn't hide our emotions, right?
That's just joy expressing itself through you. You're seeing others' joy. Just not tears of sadness, because that's a concept, an idea. When one lets go and experiences such things as heightened joy for others, it just pulls at your eye.
Yeah.
Let me just.
I found that we have. I find that we have some differing beliefs and differing experiences on our path, but in the essence of everything, we can agree upon more than we're differing in experience. And so
conversation to bring these up for others to be able to take what they can, take what they need, take what they wish, and to be able to maybe adapt themselves to a different perception until they find that they don't need a perception, because all it is here. But for that to be grasped is very difficult for someone who's coming from intelligence or intellect, trying to build up that temple. So it's a great journey. It's a great journey. And we have to let go of the desire to have no desire and just try to let go, slow and steady. That's what wins the race. The rabbit, the reactivity, running fast, is always coming from intelligence. But the one who is slow, the one that just takes time to be able to respond correctly, evolves in a much quicker way. You can learn, you can see and adapt. It's an incredible thing, and you cannot paint your perception to anyone. You could have so many deep experiences that, of course, the ego would wish to express to everyone, and that's a part of growth as well. Trying to tell everybody your perception, or even trying to, in one's ignorance, they believe that their truth is higher than somebody else's. So we try to tell them, look at what I found. And again, all letting go of these things here just takes you the next level of your experience. And most people who have gone through a whole journey find a really hyper intelligent stage where they feel like they know everything, and then you realize you knew nothing. And it's just such a wonderful ladder. You just keep climbing until you realize that the ladder was even a concept within inside yourself. And it's all for joy. We can let go of our person and become married with the moment. And in that moment, we can be anyone. And that's the beauty of it, because it's all about life without conflict. The resolution, the solution, which is the soul UT ion, which is the soul U with the physical ion being energy. It's like the information, isn't it? Inform an ion, and it's all energetic. It's all at an energetic level. I think this main conversation, everything we've been speaking about, is all about aligning the energy that lies behind physicality. And that is the only work that has real value to the experience. We can all have an idea that we have a mission, a calling. I'm being myself, but this is identity with the person. And all of this is fine, but it's the idea and the concept that causes the conflict, that you must do this and you must do that. You have to save people. And the true revelations reveal to you that everything within inside this experience is perfect. And even the word, let's say the Kabbalah, and the Babylon, you see through it and you see it's the able on, and it's to enable yourself. And that conflict that is created within inside Babylon is actually to turn able. Now, this is Cain and this is Abel. These are the hemispheres. This one is dormant until one starts to let go of autonomous acceptance, just going with life. And you start to manifest this etherical side. And then you're moving over. This is able. That's how you enable yourself. And you live here in the righteous with the right choice in each moment. And you know that the righteous is not how someone would perceive it to be. It's within you. If you make the right choices to your belief, you have no conflict. You've made the right choice because it was within you. This is why we should never seek advice wholly from others. We should try to go with our inner tutor, the intuition, because there is no good, there is no bad. I eat predominantly fruit. You eat meat, fruit, vegetables. It means nothing to me. I have no desire to change, to inform, to point. If someone asks, I will give the lessons, the experience that I've had. But there is no desire here to change anyone or anything. Because if there was, I would be at conflict. I'm happy that you're happy. That's all I want for you, whether you eat meat or not. There's many concepts that lie inside the meat industry. There's another concept that says these animals would not even be alive if it wasn't for the meat industry. We're causing these animals suffering is another idea. Everything is perfect. Everything.
That is what I found as well. And myself to go back to eating meat now I support the local farmer and not the meat industry itself. So it's also something, an industry that's going to crash in on itself eventually. We're not meant to live that way, and we're not meant to farm on an industrial scale. Anything, the vegetables that are being industrialized and farmed on a big scale, they lack nutrients. The animals that are being slaughtered in the mass-produced slaughterhouses, they also lack nutrients and are full of hormones, and they
you got the added adrenaline and the cortisol, which is
absolutely
going through the bodies. That's destructive as well. And I see that, for me, in the idealistic perfect world, that trees drop our food. Now we should inhabit the center, which is temperate and warm and abundant. Now, as a commercial duality experience, we are experiencing separation from our true nature. Now, whether you live somewhere that drops below 16 degrees, which I'm sure most places apart from equator do, you can't have the abundance. You don't have that food which is right. You live in commercial zones which give you food which is basically grown with 3 minerals, which is lacking cobalt in the soil, which doesn't give you the B12. They inject animals with B12. You don't have the sunlight. You need D3. They inject animals with D3. They fortify every single food in Babylon with these essential things like iodine, B12, D3, iron. When you come off these diets, you feel great because you've lightened yourself from processed foods. But what one must recognize is on the journey, which will lead to a certain level of suffering if these things haven't been picked up, is the reason why when people go back to animal products, they feel better after a long time on plant-based foods, I would say for a short period of time, because they have been lacking these essential nutrients: iodine function for thyroid, vitamin D for hormone synthesis, B12 for nervous system regulation. And then people sometimes, they have to go back to these things because they haven't actually come to that awareness. Now, if you live somewhere other than temperate zone, animals eat, for example, grass. Humans don't eat grass. So they synthesize what's available through the tissues of the animals. This is when hunting came into being. Now, of course, seasonal fruit and vegetables are available in such places as UK, Norway, but you couldn't sustain yourself year round. So it has to be this way. It has to be. And you try very hard to be conceptually fruitarian, conceptually whole food, plant-based. You have to be ready.
Oh, I was using iodine. I was using all the supplements. I spent about $300-400 a month on the various herbs and supplements and everything. Still, I was experiencing severe deficiencies.
How long did you stay with that?
I made my own. And I never went to the vegan products. I made my beet balls from scratch. I went to tropical regions and ate only fruit for the time that I was there. And I felt, of course, great when I was eating the fruit and detoxing lots and lots. But after 5 years of really trying and not feeling good at all, being lethargic, having gray spots in my beard, even though I was using Hoshu and Fote, Chinese medicine, all the mushrooms, all the turkey tail, lion's mane, all that stuff, horsetail, dandelion root. So I just didn't feel good at all. And then,
Those 5 years you were free from preservatives and any type of processed food. You were whole food, and you were in and out of fruitarianism and experiencing these things. Yeah.
On and off. Sometimes I would make vegetable soup to kind of break my fruit fast, because the detox symptoms were too much, and just because I didn't feel satiated either.
So did you ever get like a test or anything, or would you innately know?
I had my blood work as well, and I innately knew. And these were not simply just detox symptoms anymore. And so I told my wife, like, I'm going to buy this organic lamb at the farm here, and the first piece I just ate it bloody and everything. I just needed the blood to iron. And within a day or two, I just felt great again. I felt like life was worth living.
So what was your deficiencies, if you don't mind me asking? Or did you say you didn't know?
It was iron, copper, and I was supplementing with copper supplements. I was drinking from copper cup, and I was eating curly parsley for all my magnesiums and zinc, and doing my best to, but the B12 and was really low, and carotene, carnitine, these animal fat. There simply was no replacement for them, and in the diet that I was having, I tried with all these plant oils as well, and then I realized that they were worse for me than the butters, organic butter, worse. The PUFA oils, the polyunsaturated fatty acids, were causing me more harm than good old cholesterol, and that cholesterol actually was good for me. And I had some realizations.
Cholesterol rebuilds every cell in your body. It's nobody's ever died of high cholesterol, just low.
Exactly. Yeah. So I had all these realizations and realized that I could actually be detoxing myself to death. And if I go too fast now, I'm probably the thing was I wasn't thriving anymore. And for me, thriving in my vessels, that's how I can do my purpose of being of service. And if I'm not thriving, then what's my life, So now I still realize, that my diet should consist mostly of fruits. That's kind of what we're designed to eat the most of, but I'm also leaning towards what my ancestors ate to survive in this climate. If I were to move to, let's say, Costa Rica or Bali or somewhere, Spain even, I'm thinking more a diet of oranges and watermelon rather than bone broth and things would sustain me. The sunlight would.
Sunlight, soil. The thing is, it's like for me, there's that number 5 years, 5 to 6 years, and I speak to many people who've been on a plant-based diet, and I speak to people in Bali, and even half of the community in Bali have actually returned back to meat. Now, when you said the B12, the B12 is injected into meat. So another thing I just like to add is when you're going from the farmer, find out if he's fortifying his animals with B12, because if he's not, then you're probably going to find the deficiency will come back in at some point. It does tend to recycle itself 3 to 20 years. So it depends on, what you're going through, what detoxes and what the body's doing at that time. But if you have a B12 deficiency, you lose red blood cells. They tend to open up. You lose iron, and something so vital as B12 is one of the things that it should be kept under a close look. You'll experience, like an animal, like a cat on his last legs, he's just breathless, breathing so weak. You'll feel like this. You'll start to get numb fingers, tingling sensations, lack of focus, inability to think. And because our Western diet is specifically designed, it is from birth, you are fortified. You have your cereal with B12, with iron, with B6, and this is what's happening. You have salt, which is primarily the bad salt, but they've iodized it because everyone was having goiters. There was a massive iodine deficiency community. You had vitamin C, scurvy, and all of these things have actually happened. But if we just take a look at it, look at what they fortify animals with, and realize that is needed and a necessary part of the commercial eater. And if we've removed ourselves from commercial eating and are trying on a whole food plant-based diet, for example, and we're eating from them, then their soil is deficient in the necessary things that are needed for the production, for example, of B12, because B12 is only found in plants. There is a cobalt-rich soil, which then a bacteria feeds, and what it puts out into the plant is B12. But that's the soils that are commercially farmed are deficient. There's almost no cobalt in them at all. And then we're finding even people in India, for example, 90 to 99% of Indians that were tested were deficient in vitamin D because they wear clothes, because they stay indoors. So there's this absolute lack of connection as a human with the earth that causes all of these imbalances, but they're there for experience, for transcending and learning. And I'm not here to change anyone. But I'm here to say, if you are, because you innately feel it, that it's right to eat a certain way, then these pointings here are very important. Iodine is not in the soil anymore, very rarely, especially with commercial food. So important for hormone regulation, as is B12, as is D3. D is not a vitamin, it's a hormone.
Yes.
Imagine if hormone, for example, your testosterone is very low, and then there's so many different secondary effects that happen, and essentially it just leads you to feel so weak, down, depressed. So just take a look at these things, and when you're rebuilding your body with them, it does take time. Sometimes it depends on how quickly you can synthesize them in your body, but it takes 3 to 6 months. But I've helped people who've actually lost all of their feeling in their legs, from the hips down, from the arms down, and it was just simply B12 deficiency. And within 3 to 5 days, they started getting their feeling back. And then over the course, because of the red blood cells, they diminish and they start to swell. You have an inability to absorb oxygen. So then you become very weak and out of breath, and you just feel ready to die. And this isn't being spoken of within inside the plant-based or vegan or fruitarian community. And some people really do suffer this. If you're able to get a cobalt-rich diet, the bacteria inside the lower intestine can actually synthesize it. This is why it can keep you going for 3 to 20 years. But when it does hit you, it hits you. Thank God, expression consciousness for Babylon within inside this experience, because they synthesize it for you. So gratitude for everything. So this is why everything has such a holistic picture, that if we choose to focus on one thing, we miss the whole thing. But if we all, as you both, stay open to life, we can just adapt, learn, share, try, experience, and essentially just be happy with what we are, who we are, where we are, when we are, and spread joy, love, peace, unity, friendship. It's been a beautiful conversation, and I'm so grateful that you were able to join us today. It's a pleasure to have deep conversations with you.
Very lovely to have a deep and meaningful conversation with you both as well. Usually I refrain from discussing with most people or have these conversations because I don't really like to spend my time in those settings. I'll share my thoughts and views through my platform, and if people resonate, good. If they don't, then leave it alone. And to have an open discussion like this is beautiful. Next time I'll put the heater on in this place.
Bring your bed in.
Yeah, it goes like 0 below or down to 0 here, and so I'm surprised. I'm surprised I'm not like Haukenes.
Saturated like sugar.
Yeah.
You've got a warmth of love in your heart, so I'm sure that's enough to keep you warm.
Yeah, this is a warm environment.
So that became a natural place to maybe end this chat. It's been lovely. Thank you both so very much for being here. I'm sure that people will take away lots of good stuff from this conversation. So it's been great. Thank you very much. And we will maybe do it again at a suitable time.
Yeah. I would love
to you and your family, and I wish you all the happiness in the world.
Same to you, and same to you, Ulfhéðinn. Thank you for holding us. I see now that my name has been Mary Michelle during this whole conversation. That's quite funny.
2 M's. You must be a Freemason, I think.
But Ulf, if somebody wishes to explore your platform, what's your
White Wolf Alchemy is the name of our I gave my company away to my wife, actually. But that's the name of my website and my page, our page. She's joined me now. So there will be a feminine presence in the time to come in that space. So yeah, she had her own company and everything when we met, and then I seem to have this effect on women to usher in their dark night of the soul. So I've been traversing through her underworld with her in true Hades style, and now Persephone is ready to come out and enjoy spring once again. So there'll be a feminine presence there as well. We have actually womb healing yin yoga event coming up, where I will just be a energetic space holder, and she'll be the one who's teaching that one. So I'm very excited for that. She's been very, very present in the local community here with the local work, and but she's now coming on to our platform, and I'm very, very excited.
That's nice.
Nice.
I have Sister Michelle that joins us sometimes as well. So maybe one day we can have a 5-way conversation.
That would be great.
Yeah,
That would be great.
that'd be lovely.
Lovely.
Okay, brothers.
Again, thank you so much. We will see. Actually, if you don't mind, just if you don't stay on for a couple of minutes, and we will just say goodbye to the audience. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for joining us. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.